Christie, if you would call the roll, please.
Trustee Bancole?
Here.
Trustee Prigi?
Here.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Here.
Trustee Porter?
Here.
Trustee Kunkel?
Here.
And Trustee Husani is absent tonight.
Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I don't know if it's on the agenda, but may I ask that we take a moment for the people in the Middle East, Palestinian and the Jews that are going through a terrible time of tragedy and turmoil?
I would respect that, and I believe it's appropriate. So if you would all join me, I was going to mention vote of silence for Ray Seidel and for what's happening in the Middle East and the cause and effects of all that going on. So if we would please take a moment of silence. Thank you, Trustee Porter. Thank you.
I didn't mean to preempt you, I just wanted to make sure we got that.
No, I'm glad you did.
Thank you.
Okay. Motion, accept the agenda. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Oh my goodness, pardon me. We have a motion and a second. Any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. Public hearing. Oh,
Juliana.
Juliana.
I received an email from Lisa Tempora that the warrant amount on the agenda is off by 5 cents. So it should be $1,068,793.43
Okay.
when you get to that item.
Thank you.
Who dropped the nickel? I'm the 2-cent guy. Okay, so very good, thank you. Motion to go public hearing.
Second.
Public hearing on modifying zoning ordinance amendment to permit certain non-conforming substandard sized lots lawful for construction of homes. So we have a motion to open the public hearing on modifying the zoning ordinance amendment to permit certain non-conforming standard size of lots lawful for construction of homes. An explanation of the amendment by staff? Oh, yeah, we did take it.
No.
No.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
And Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Okay. Explanation of the amendment by staff. Shira, if you would, please.
Thank you. So this amendment actually talks about some existing lots where if you go north of Lake Street, west of Center as an example, there are some existing lots there that were, at the time that the village was incorporated, were already subdivided and built on. And those are 60 feet wide lots. When the zoning code was adopted, we had changed our rules to say now the lots needed to be 65 feet wide. So there are currently several lots that were subdivided. Some of them were built on, some of them are still vacant, but now those lots cannot be built on without coming in for a PUD amendment or a variance for the lot width. And what we found was that there were several lots like that in that area, and similarly in the R3 zoning district as well, where these lots exist, but those owners are not able to develop unless they come in for a subdivision or a variance. So this, when in 2017, when we had Homes for a Changing Region study done, as part of that, there was one recommendation that in order to enable those lots to be able to develop, that a recommendation is that you could go back to the 60-foot and make those existing lots as conforming, and that would encourage development in that area. And we would see development of those vacant lots. Similarly, if there are homes that are already built, those are considered legally non-conforming. So if they wanted to expand and put in a family room or expand and then they exceed the lot coverage, they are not able to do so. So it becomes a hardship. So as part of that, this particular text amendment, what is being proposed is that these existing 60 feet wide lots, and we are talking about that specific area, and in the R2 and R3 zoning districts, that they now be considered legally conforming, and that would enable a developer to come in and develop on those vacant lots. What we found was there are about 20 or so lots that are actually vacant, and then there are plenty of lots in the village that are in the R3 and R2 districts where they could actually expand if they wanted to, and would be able to now do so as part of this amendment. So the Development Commission did hold a public hearing on this, and they did recommend approval. But in order to give the lot owners that either own those lots or the ones that are around those vacant lots an additional opportunity to come in and make comments, there was an additional notice that was sent to the lots that are currently vacant. Not every single lot, but at least the ones that are vacant, because that's where it's possible to actually see a new home. So most of these lots are along Oak Street, just north of Lake, just east of Center. And they're currently all mostly owned by one developer who wants to develop homes, and that's the same developer who's already developing homes in that area. And every lot owner that owns the vacant lot, as well as the adjacent lot owners, were notified for the vacant lots and given an opportunity to come in. Again, we did receive, at the public hearing that the Development Commission held, and we have Tom Clark, one of our commissioners, we did have one individual attend who owned a lot. They didn't speak during the public hearing, but they sent us an email afterwards. And then we did hear back from a few of the lot owners that received the notice, inquiring about what this was about. Once they understood what the amendment was that was being proposed, we received positive comments and support for this. So it'll be a good thing to see that area that's currently sitting all vacant, to be able to see that develop.
Okay, any questions of the board? Hearing none.
So I'd like to just add a little bit to that, if I could. So you currently have a zoning ordinance. In your zoning ordinance, you have provisions that state how large a lot has to be in order for it to be built on. There was a period of time, apparently here, where the city council, or village board rather, likely reduced the size of lots or created a subdivision ordinance that created the size of lots, which made a number of lots substandard, not buildable upon. And that, I believe, has sort of been the case here for how many years do you think, Shubha?
Since the town was incorporated.
Since the town was incorporated. So people who purchase property in the village next to these lots or across the street from these lots may have an expectation that those lots would remain unbuildable. And I would imagine that there's some lots that have been divided between neighbors. I don't know if that's true or not, but it may be true, to make larger yards, because you couldn't build a house on some of these lots either. So the Community Development Department had a proposal to basically allow these lots, some of them, not all of them, because there is a minimum size that you have for them, but to permit some of these lots, 20 at least, that Shubra has identified, to become buildable. And the Community Development Department published a notice in the newspaper, which is the statutory and ordinance requirement for a text amendment. And that's what Illinois statutory law and our ordinance requires. And they held a public hearing.
Yes.
And that public hearing was held. The Development Commission met, and they made a decision to recommend to the village board that you permit some of these lots to be buildable upon. And then I had a discussion with the community development folks that I was concerned that some of these properties and some of these owners and some of these neighbors ought to have gotten perhaps more notice. And there is law in Illinois, primarily from our Illinois Supreme Court, and the case is called Pasolino versus Zion, where a municipality, an Illinois municipality, in 2009 adopted a new zoning ordinance. That zoning ordinance rezoned the whole city. The city gave proper notice, and some property owners came in, basically said they didn't see the notice or whatever, and that their rights had been affected. And the Illinois Supreme Court basically said that notice by publication was inadequate, not so much under state law, but under the federal due process requirements of the 14th Amendment, because the constructive notice was not reasonably calculated to inform the plaintiffs who had an interest because they either owned the property or they were adversely affected by the change of the ordinance, that they should have gotten notice. And the court had also determined that a municipality can easily determine what properties are affected. They could find out through tax records and others, and they could give them mailed notice and have them then be more certain of what was actually going on. Or put another way, public notice is inadequate under due process, where it is not reasonably possible or practical to give more adequate warning, especially when names and addresses are known or easily discerned. And they were. And so what happened is it was determined that those people that are most affected, which are the property owners themselves, the people that own property adjacent to them who might be relying on the fact that for 50 years you couldn't build on this lot, and now you're able to build on this lot, and maybe I've enjoyed, that open area, and now a house can be built there. All these people should have gotten perhaps notice, and notice was sent by mail, and it was determined that we would hold a hearing here in front of the village board prior to any action being taken by the village board, and perhaps have people who were affected, who received the notice, come and give their opinions as to what they thought this ordinance did or how it affected them. And so that's really the genesis of how it got for you, because this is sort of an unusual proceeding. But this was sort of the way that we determined it could cure the problem. And so that's my explanation.
Thank
why
you.
we're here.
Thank you, Bernie. Okay.
What was interesting about this area was that all of the, there are so many other lots just west of the same street that are already built on. So the character of the neighborhood does not change by approving this, because those homes the lots that were subdivided that are already built upon are already 60 feet wide lots. So these remaining ones that, for whatever reason, 20 did not get developed would be in the same character.
So can you tell me what is the current lot size allowed by ordinance?
65.
65?
Yes.
And what are we recommending the change to?
60, only for existing previously subdivided. So any in the future would still have to be 65. So if there are existing lots that were subdivided, that are legally they are non-conforming, but they were subdivided and they are existing 60 feet lots, those are the only ones that would be now considered conforming.
And is
if
this
you
the
approve.
only area of the village where these lots exist? Or are there other areas
The
that would be
vacant ones?
affected by
Yeah.
changing
So-
this ordinance?
So there are two things. One is, these are the vacant lots along Oak, that are about 18 lots, and on both sides, and they're both, except for one or two lots, they're all owned by the same developer. The other lots where this would impact are also already built upon. These are the R3, the duplexes that you see in the southern part of town, those are already built on. So for those lots, it is, if they wanted to expand or if they wanted to add something, then the lot size does not impact. Because right now, what has happened is with the adoption, when the village incorporated and those rules were put in place, all of those lots suddenly became non-conforming. With the non-conformity then, they cannot expand, they cannot, they might, I shouldn't say they cannot expand. There's a limitation to how much they can expand. Or if they are non-conforming, the code does not allow expansion of a non-conformity. So if they wanted to expand, then they will be expanding a non-conformity. So either all of them have to come in for a variance, even for adding a family room, or this allows them, and these are all existing, and there were about, we calculated more than 500 lots that already have the homes built on them, and they're non-conforming. So it gives them the ability to improve their property. And then there are about 18 lots that are vacant, that are in the same character as the rest of the neighborhood around them, but because they were not built on, they cannot be built on with our current rules without coming in before and going through the whole,
And are there
public hearing.
existing homes to these adjacent to these lots now?
there are homes that are, yes, that are on the west side of the street of Center, for example, that are already 60 feet and already have homes on them.
On Center?
Center, west of Center on Oak.
dots, the whole town.
You have a map in your
Okay.
packets?
To further elaborate on that, if for instance, I mean, to say that they're not buildable upon is only part of the story. So if you have, say, 2, 3, 4 lots that adjoin each other, and they're under
One ownership.
common ownership, that person could build on them, but he couldn't build a house on each lot.
Correct.
He would have to either subdivide it or split a lot in order to make the parcel large enough for him to build a house on. So you might have 5 lots in a row, if you do, I don't know, and you might be able to build 4 houses on the 5 lots. You may have to come in and re-subdivide it, or you might be able to just sell off, or whatever, a piece. You may not be required to have a subdivision plan. So it isn't to say that on all these lots, you can't build on them. It's that you can't build on the individual lot a house.
You could combine 2 and build on
Or you could
one.
combine 3 and build 2, or
Right.
combine 4 and
They're
build 3.
all in different, yeah.
So I just want to get the whole
Yeah.
story out.
Yes,
Is this, are you pulling up that map now? Is that what we're looking at?
Yes, that shows
Is
you
it
where
the red
they are.
areas, or
correct.
the red
So-
areas are not?
So those are not all vacant. There's only 18 lots that are currently
Can
vacant.
you blow that up a little bit, Jed? Is it,
He means make it larger.
yeah, there you go, thank you.
So a lot of them are next to each other.
But there's
They're
some
all
on the
right.
south of
Yeah.
town too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the ones that are R3 that are already built on. So most of these that you see are there's no real scientific way we could do this because we are basing this on GIS. We don't have plats of survey for each of them, so just going by GIS and using our best guesses on what the lot width would be. That's what we were relying on to identify the lots. But basically, this would then allow the 60-foot wide existingly platted lots to be able to be buildable for putting up a house on each lot,
Is there-
interior lots.
Okay, are we good?
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding.
Yeah.
Tom, you're on the Development Commission. Do you want to speak to what happened at the meeting and how the Development Commission arrived at this and what was the consensus of the commission? I know Schuber has summarized, but I'd like to hear from one of the members. You step to the mic.
Sure, I mean, I really, Schuber gave a very good summary of what was talked about at the commission. I believe it was more than a consensus, I think it was a unanimous vote,
Yes.
if I'm not,
Okay.
if I'm not
All right.
mistaken. So there was-
That's what I
there was
wanted to
that.
know. So it was
A lot
unanimous.
of the concerns centered around the fact.
Can you, sorry, can you go up to the microphone?
Oh, sure. This one or which? Yeah, right. This one. See, I'll repeat stuff to put it in the record, but basically, Schuper very well summarized the synopsis of the meeting that she just gave. The one thing I want to point out is that it was not I wouldn't call it a consensus vote, it was pretty unanimous. And in my opinion, I think there was a lot of discussion on the existing homes on 60-foot lots. And it's like they're kind of, at least I took it, they were kind of captured as to not being able to build upon or expand, another bedroom, family room, blow out the kitchen a little bit or something like that. So they've been hampered like this for some time. The other thing too, from an historical nature, I think, and Schubert, correct me if I'm wrong, but these lots have been these dimensions for quite a years, I think, may go back to the incorporation of the village. So, and, it felt it was time to make better use of these vacant lots. They've been sitting there like this. So part of it was like, if this was something that was, say, a 2-year-old issue, maybe, yeah, we'd pull back and say, oh, wait a minute, maybe we need to, think about this a little more, but it's been sitting like this for years, and so from a standpoint of hopefully getting some decent construction in both the vacant areas and also encourage people to upgrade their homes in the sections where there's 60-foot lots with existing structures on them, we came to the conclusion that, yes, we would recommend going forward with this proposal.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, is any other, as long as I'm here,
No,
specific questions?
It's
Okay,
nice you
okay,
Thanks, Tom.
all right.
to add to the subject. Okay. Does any other,
Does anybody from the audience have
I have, any persons desiring to be heard with the opportunity to present testimony, examine witnesses, like to speak on the issue? Yeah, please step up to the microphone, sir.
What this fellow here said,
Can you state your name?
my name's Joe. I'm a property owner to the backyard of one of the vacant lots. And I put a bid on the lot back in 2017, but I guess this gal here had said, there's a variance you got to go through in order to even put anything on it, okay? And I had talked to the owner of the property. This is over on Walnut and Center, okay? So that must have been one of those, not by the 18, owned by the one developer. This is one of the other 2 lots. I mean, it's a busy intersection, Walnut and Center. And I'm in the house behind it, so I'm one of the neighbors of this vacant lot. And I've been here since 1968, so that lot's been vacant at least since then. I'm assuming it's been vacant since the village was incorporated, back in 1958?
Right.
Yeah, so, I was here 10 years after that. And I was interested in the property. I went to the Building and Development Department. They says, no, you can't build anything on it. That was the reason. I'm one of those people that got one of the certified letters, and in answer to yours, they gave me 3 weeks' notice, plenty of notice, in my opinion, as an existing property owner, so I didn't have a problem with that. I got the Plata survey, I went out to the,
Are you talking about the notice?
regarding the state of Illinois. This is the notice sent by the village,
Yes.
and it gave me I'd have to look at the date, but it gave me like 3 weeks to come out to this meeting and, say my piece,
Right.
which I thought was ample time, but
And why did you not come to the Development Commission?
I didn't know about it.
That's why you got that mailed notice.
Correct. If I would have known about it, I would have come, definitely. But the other village personnel here said that almost everybody, and I'm all for it too, Why let a property sit vacant since the village was incorporated 65 years ago, and, I mean, there's money to be made there by everybody, I would guess, but, and this particular property, I made an offer, but, the offer fell through because I couldn't put anything on it, So, that's my 2 cents, if that's worth
Okay,
anything.
so you're in favor of this?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
It helps the village, it helps whoever buys the land, and it brings more money to everybody,
Well, it certainly helps with the EAV, so,
I mean, it's
Appreciate
better
your
than leaving a
comment.
piece of land vacant for, I'm guessing 65 years, So.
well, thank you for your
all right?
comments, Joe.
Sir, just a point of clarification. You mentioned something in regards to 2017.
I put a bid on the property, then I found out I couldn't bid, I'd be buying a vacant piece of land that was unbuildable. And this particular lot at 2062 Walnut was 60 feet wide, just as we've talked about, and its depth was the same depth as my property, My existing property on Cedar is 83 feet wide, But again, this was the original part of the village when, back in the 1950s, it had well and septic,
Yep,
Since then, we've upgraded to city sewer and water.
exactly.
This is the part of the village, like you guys had mentioned, this is an older section of the neighborhood.
Yeah, and
I think it was the original section
it
from.
was.
Yeah.
And we're still living with what was existing back then.
Yeah.
So the fact that we can straighten this out so you can build or develop, that would
Yeah,
be,
so I'm all for, to move forward with the development. I don't know if the land is still available. I have to go back to the original property owner. But the person that lives next door, I thought for sure they would want to buy that lot to do what he had mentioned, expand, I'm on the back end of the property though, so I'd have to expand from Cedar to Walnut if I decided to purchase the land. But now that you guys have made it, a confirmation that it's good to go, it's great for the village. That's all I want to say. All
okay.
right?
Well, thank you for your
guys.
comments and coming.
No problem.
tonight. Anyone else like to speak on the issue? Please step forward. Good evening.
My name's Leah, and I wanted to get a little bit more understanding on this. How does it impact the property with the forest over by Center and Willow? There's a little forest property. I know the developer purchased that property as well. And so I'm just curious how that impacts the homeowners that are around that. There's a
It's an
forest.
overgrown area. Which
Is
street
that
do you-
also,
you live
this,
on?
I live on Willow.
You're on Willow?
We back up to the forest. So I'm the person that was
Do you have pictures of
impacting.
that wetland? that
Yep, they
low
did
area?
the poor grading, and I had to fight for 3 years to get the water out of our property. And it's actually thank you to Mr. Paul for bringing up the risk that we were in, the safety risk that we were in for having all that water that finally got the village to respond and get it
And we did,
fixed.
yes.
Fortunately, 3 years later.
Sometimes
So I'm just curious how it's going to impact, like how many houses are going to be behind us, how it's going to impact drainage, sewer, just the whole works.
They would still have to follow all of the village's stormwater ordinances before they can get a building permit.
So are
I-
those 60-foot properties then as well? So we would be
I'm
seeing
not
like,
familiar with the exact lot that you're mentioning, so
Okay.
I can look it up and I can get back to you.
yeah, we're on the other side of Maple, right? Maple or Oak? Where Ontarioville School is.
What
Okay.
brought you here?
I'm just wondering if the, moving it from
Did you
six.
get a notice?
So I got one. I did not get the public hearing, and I never heard about any
Did you
hearing
get a
selling the
mailed
property.
notice to you?
The recent one for this meeting, yes. I had to
So
sign
there's
for
some
it.
piece of property that affects her, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's lowland, it's I believe that's undevelopable, and it's just been overgrown. That's behind you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm familiar with that area.
Yeah, we
I
haven't
came
heard
out to see
anything.
you with,
Yeah.
you know, when we were in the middle of all that. That changed our direction. But I think that's not even developable, you know, even though it might be 60 feet. I don't even know how anybody can build on it because they can't.
Is this south of Walnut, Willow,
Willow,
south of Walnut Beach Stunt Center?
yes,
Okay.
Yeah, it's adjacent to the Park District.
yes, that exact property.
Yeah, I remember it.
I didn't know if this meant that they were going to build
Only-
more houses, like squeeze in more houses behind us.
Only those that are already subdivided, the lots that are already subdivided at 60 feet.
Okay,
So this-
so we
this is-
shouldn't have got that notice then, if it doesn't impact us?
If your lot probably abuts or it's adjacent to one of those lots, then you would have received those.
I'm just
the
directly
notice.
behind the forest. There's no vacant property, it's all forest.
Leah, can I take your info and we could do some more digging on this? So we
Yeah.
can get back to you, is that okay?
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, some of those 60-foot lots, are just, Herb may be familiar with them, you know, down, if they're low, adjacent to the park, there's no way they can build that. Yeah.
You'll find out.
We'll find out, yeah.
Thank you.
But the cost would be enormous to clean up that whole thing. All right, anyone else on the subject? Okay. Any last thoughts from the board? Okay, I'd like a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Close the hearing. Christie, call the roll, please.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
And Trustee Frigie?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Thank you to those residents that came out tonight. All righty. Presentations. I have Alex Anderson. Please come forward. How nice to see you.
How nice to see you too, sir.
It's a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Not only you brought your family,
Yeah, one of my daughters.
how nice. You want to come up too? Come on, come on.
She said she's seen you at her school.
I've been at her school?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a habit of doing that.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you with your dad. So, as a result of the car show, and we had a little fundraising, and it was quite an event, but the hope was to support the Alive Center that's doing marvelous work
Thank you.
under your leadership, I might add. It was nice that you came out. So we have a certificate to present to the Alive Center, and Alex Anderson with a little check of the, what came forward, and that was really nice.
Thank you.
So we'll get a picture, the three of us
Okay.
together. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, Dave's ready.
Oh.
Okay.
Here we go. Stand right in front
What's your name?
of me.
Ruby. Ruby Tuesday, but it's Thursday. Okay, Ruby, you and your dad meet the board and pass along. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate this. All the help you guys have given us.
Oh, yeah, you're doing good work.
Thanks for the good work.
I don't think there's anyone.
I don't think so. Thanks so much. Good to see you.
Congratulations.
must be a kindergartner?
Yep. That's the one.
The Hanover Highlands, of course. Oh, man. So there's a mom and a dad in the room that I've been with your children recently. I like going into the classroom and I'll do a little, we're all in our places, and they respond with sunshiny faces. It's a great way to start the day. All right. I have a proclamation on, whereas Hinduism is the third largest religion in the world with millions of followers in the United States, including many in Hanover Park, and whereas Hindu Americans represent one of the fastest growing communities in the country, and whereas the rich tapestry of the United States is woven from diverse cultures and traditions, and our nation is home to people from every corner of the globe, including those who practice the ancient and vibrant faith of Hinduism. And whereas Hinduism is one of the world's oldest religions, has made profound and enduring contributions to the fields of philosophy, science, art, literature, and spirituality, enriching our shared global heritage. And whereas Hindus in the United States have played an integral role in shaping our nation's cultural and social fabric, contributing their wisdom, values, and traditions, which have fostered unity, diversity, and understanding among our citizens. And whereas the celebration of Hindu Heritage Month provides an opportunity for all Americans to learn more about the rich culture and spiritual traditions of Hinduism, and to honor the many ways in which Hindu Americans have enhanced our society. Now therefore, I, Rodney S. Craig, President of the Village of Hanover Park, do hereby proclaim the month of October 23rd as Hindu Heritage Month, and I call upon all citizens to recognize and celebrate the contributions of Hindu Americans to our nation, and to foster great understanding and appreciation of Hindu culture and tradition. Thank you. Very good. Oh, we have one sign-in. Oh, what have I? Town hall session.
Hank Romero?
Here we go. Your favorite guy.
I can't. Romero?
Okay, yes, sir.
Well, you're a strange faction to our board, becoming a regular, but we're not putting you on the salary.
Okay, it's okay.
That's okay. All right.
I'm making enough money by the government. Women should be union, you know, because, you know, maybe she can do the job better than a man, maybe she does it worse, but there's a man that does it better than another man, so it doesn't matter, just as long as somebody does the job. And how would you like to have a granddaughter? Like you expressed, you had a granddaughter, she's making less money because she's a woman. That don't make sense to me. And organized labor is better, and I do feel too that the boss is not, it won't be labor against management and management against labor. No, we got to work together. Make the management also union, so that, you know, they can be judged by the labor. If the guy's treating, or the lady treating everybody like an animal, you know, three guys that sit on the board, hear the story, and we get another manager, or three labor, talk to a guy that just wants to sit around, do nothing, you know, there's a problem. Second thing, the rail that's going through town is going to be busy because they block the streets. But the thing is that the hazardous material, a lot of hazardous material will go through civilized section. But we can't escape it, so I don't know. I mean, we got to make the people make money, they bring money to the area, they put a lot of people to work. So maybe we got to just bear it and live with it. No property tax. You know, you buy the house, you pay, 50 years ago it was $27,000, now it's $200,000. You know, you get old. When you're young, you don't care because you're making the money, you know, you're physically fit to do the work, and you can pay the taxes. But when you get old, you might be pushed out of your house because you can't afford to pay the taxes on the house. So there should be really no property tax. And I feel that all the taxes that we already got from, all the taxes that we got is enough, you know, from employment, grocery stores, you know, retail. It should be enough. And I do feel that, you know, also the salt, you know, don't use it all over the place because then you pollute the water, and, you know, we might need those fish. And we don't want to pollute the water and all that salt. Maybe, like, say, 50 yards before it get the stop sign, you know, salt that area, bridges and stuff like that. I mean, and people got to slow down sometimes, you know, it's not, you know, you can salt it down, but people got to slow down, because if you don't slow down, you get in trouble. You know, no property taxes, yeah, I explained that. You know, a guy might not be able to work, you know, the clerks here won't be able to work because they only hire women because the women are cheap labor compared to the men. So, I mean, it can actually work against a man too. And like, you know, a husband, you know, she has to say what she's got to do what he says. But the thing is, if the guy's insane, she shouldn't do things. But here's the thing, is a woman's my boss, you know, as long as she's not sexual, she tells me, go pick up that pen over there, I'll go pick up the pen. She tells me, put that pen over there and put it over there, notebook over there. I have to do it because I'm getting paid, and she's the boss. You know, not that I'm better than her, she's not better than me, you're just doing a job. We're just doing a job, that's all. Also, this might get me in trouble, but not really. The life is not being sacred, not just in America. The guy was cute, smart, good-looking, strong, funny. He just did not stick around. No guy liked to raise someone else's kid. It is hard enough to feed your own. It is hard to raise a kid on your own for a woman. However, the kid, well, actually, maybe they gave it to the father to raise by himself. He'd be able to control himself. You know, and I have 20 girlfriends, get them all pregnant so that his survival and the fittest of his kids. But it might work against him, because if he doesn't take guide the kid, they might all end up in jail. Well, anyway, the kid might be her meal ticket when she gets old. Okay, also, the last thing, the rail, I'm working on it. I just haven't been able to get around it. I got to write letters, and I got to work with the government. You guys have your way of doing things, and we just got to go by the way of doing things here, because in other places, their way of doing things is a little bit hard. And that's it.
That's it? Your 2 seconds, 1 second? Thank you for coming.
Thank you. And I got to go take care of my mom, so.
You take care of your mom. That's highly important. Thank you. All righty. Town hall session.
Anybody else here for town hall?
Okay. The mayor's report. I share with the board, the One Wise Road row homes has been completed. All have EV charging and attached garages, and the celebration is October 26th at 4:30 p.m. at the site. I guess we're welcome to attend, and I understand all homes were sold greater than the initial offer. So Schuber said yes. She's nodding her head, yes. So Habitat for Humanity completed 8 days of their women's build. Numerous corporations were represented. It was nice to see. Christie filled in for me as I was pulled away for a Metro Board meeting. So I missed one of the 8, and it was nice to celebrate the work of Habitat and the support that the corporations and the women from those corporations were pitching in and helping. Their fundraising goal for the event was $175,000 to cover all the expenses, and they exceeded that, which was nice to see. Juliana Schuber, Nalini, and I attended the ICSC in Chicago. Always good contacts, building relationships with developers and our neighbors who come out there, and we still have an appointment with one that wants to come and visit with us. I'm looking forward to that. Our manufacturing event is upcoming on the 25th, and we are collaborating with Roselle. Campcraft is providing the space, and RGM is providing breakfast. So nice support for the event and good work from the department. Christy and I met with Melissa Cameron, hired to manage the area of Schaumburg, Hanover Park, and Streamwood with the Boys and Girls Club. I've asked Bob Prigge to join the Schaumburg Board for Boys and Girls representing the village. The overall Boys and Girls Clubs of Elgin their board members' mission to supporting our students in all areas, and it's nice to have Bob join as a good way to get Hanover Park involved. Veterans Day is November 11th, and I have numerous commitments in our schools and with Metra for that week. I have more than I can even jump into, but I believe, John, you're going to join me at one of the schools? Did we complete that conversation? Okay, good. John's going to join me in one of those, and a number of veterans at some of the other schools. The Employee Appreciation Halloween Contest was a huge success, with much appreciation by the VFW for the donation to Operation Airlift. And I'm not even going to talk about the pie in the face, because I thought that was kind of interesting. Also, the Almost Home Foundation was a great addition. They must have brought 8 dogs, 8 different dogs, and I hear somebody might be adopting one. So it's was a nice event, and there you go, Christy, for the minutes.
Thank you.
So thank you. Now I'd like to move by unanimous vote items on the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve items on the consent agenda.
And those are items 8A1 through 8A8.
Thank you. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Brigi?
Yes.
And Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Thank you. Move to pass 8A9, move to pass ordinance amending. Am I okay? Okay. Move to pass ordinance amending Hanover Park Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, amending development standards by reducing the minimum lot size in the R2 and R3 single-family and 2-family detached resident districts.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Brigi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Great.
A lot of work, we got that behind us, right? Very good. 8A10, move to pass a resolution further extending the completion date of subdivision and other improvements, approving a new letter of credit issued by Midland States Bank for Veranda, Hanover Park, Veranda Unit 2, and other improvements, and releasing the November 5th, 2019 Busey Bank letter of credit.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Brigi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
And Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Thank you. 8A11, move to pass a resolution concerning,
So are we,
We don't do that.
Need that.
That
Yeah,
from the
someone should just
agenda?
make a motion to remove that from the.
I'd like to make a motion to remove
8A11.
8811 from the agenda.
Is
I
there a second?
second that motion?
We have a motion and a second to remove 8A11 without any discussion. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Brigi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
And Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Thank you. 8812, move to approve warrant 10/20/2023 in the amount of $1,068,793.53.
43.
43 cents. I went the wrong way. Okay.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the warrant? We saved the nickel. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes. Very good. 7813, move to approve warrant paid in advance, 9/28/2023 through 10/13/2023 in the amount of $831,488.80.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Questions on the warrant? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Bancole?
Sorry, yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
And Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Thank you. Village managers report.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, we have Jeff Bevington with us. He is the artist that did, if you recall, the Warhol images and artwork for that campaign, which was very successful. Included in our budget as well as our strategic plan is our funds for a mural. And we've selected and recommend the wall that's along the pavilion at the MWRD Sports Complex on that blue building. So Public Works has painted the building and made all the repairs, so it's ready for the painting of a mural. We've asked for a proposal from Jeff. Tonight he's going to show you his ideas and his concepts, and we thought we'd hear some feedback from you before we moved forward. And it might be a little late. We're thinking it might be too cold to paint this fall, but we would then move forward in the spring with the painting of a mural and then just do a budget amendment for it. So Jeff, if you could, we have some images if you'd like us to put those up. We have your proposal that
President Craig and the trustees, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here, and the village staff. My proposal has 4 different pages. This first page is really the most important, but there's a caveat I want to mention is that very often I'll do a design like this and I'll actually show it on the building itself, and it's shown in such a way that it looks as if the design is final. There's nothing further from the truth. The design is going to be something that I can be proud of as the artist, but certainly everyone in Hanover Park can be proud of as residents of Hanover Park, trustees, president. And so the overall idea is that I try to create something that's fun, that incorporates the idea that there are sports fields, many of which have been used for American football and baseball, but more often than not are being used for other sports, not just there, but across the village of Hanover Park would be cricket, girls soccer, girls softball, other sports that may not have traditionally been played in that area. And there's also the new music pavilion, which is, about a year old or so. And so I wanted to incorporate the idea that the artwork celebrates the diversity of Hanover Park, culture, art, different sports, and music. And I had spoken with staff earlier and shown them some ideas along the lines of silhouettes, and that's on page 4. You can get to that later, but the silhouettes basically help demonstrate what it is we're trying to celebrate without getting too close in on any particular race, creed, or ethnicity, although you can tell different things about different people and use different colors. So you can see here that those are silhouette examples. Some in the lower left are all in a black silhouette on splashes of color, and then the others are different, more stylized silhouettes overlapping each other for a more artistic effect. And so that's what I'd like to go for when creating the artwork. What I did for the meeting tonight was to show you the different types of sports and music and people and silhouettes I'd like to use, but those are, for the most part, stock. And when I say stock, I mean, you know, there's millions of silhouettes that are out there, and I'd very much like to work with the village to create and make sure that we understand which of the sports you want to talk about. Like, for example, cricket, and that would be that next page. Cricket is obviously an incredibly fast-growing sport in Illinois. Maybe not obviously, but it is, and it's very fast-growing here. So I wanted to create individual characters, so I would, for each and every one of the silhouettes, be drawing, just as I did here, the man and the woman, the guitarist, and the cricket player. So if you look throughout the initial presentation, you'll see all those different color silhouettes. Then you'll see this example of what I'm talking about is specific artwork, and then that's how the artwork would more than likely look when it's placed up on the wall. And when I say placed, I mean I would plan to spray paint it. I've done this before, use spray can, and whether you're using spray can or brush, you really need the surface of the wall that you're painting to be at least 50 degrees or more. And because it's cinder block right now, and because it's cold and getting colder, there would be some real problems with adhesion going forward. So I recommend that if you so adopt to have me paint this mural, that we do it in the spring. So can I answer any questions?
Any questions of the board?
I have one. Will the Hanover Park logo be integrated into this anywhere?
Well, we had a discussion about wanting to bring in the colors of the logo, so that's why I think you see the colors that Jeff has put up there, along with some other ones to kind of bring out the different colors of our logo without actually showing the logo on the building. I'm not sure how long these usually last. I know they can be touched up over time, but I think we talked about not having, you know, as something as specific as a logo that might change in the future or whatever.
Although, if I could be so presumptuous, not to take your excellent logo, which I really like, and it's trademarked and copywritten, but I was thinking of all the different balls, whether they're soccer balls, footballs, cricket balls, to all look somewhat like your logo. So obviously a round ball would look very much like the logo you have now, but a football might be the same thing stretched a little bit. That would be something that would really just add interest, but it wouldn't necessarily be the gigantic Hanover Park logo with the type on it.
I think that's an excellent idea. When that flashed up, when I'm thinking of a mural, it was not anything that looked like that. That looks like fun, it looks like excitement, it looks like conversation piece for other communities to say, wow, you see what's going on in Hanover Park. This looks like a fun place to be. It looks like it involves our youth and the spirit of our logo. I was really impressed with that first picture. I don't know what those other things were, but I guess they were different examples on that wall. I've been looking at that plain old building for so long, I can't tell you. You know, we even had a fire in there at one time, but I just like it. I'm really just impressed.
Great.
And thinking of a mural, you know, I didn't know what to think, but this is kind of exciting.
Yeah, I think also like we have the logo on the pavilion, and we have the logo on the electronic sign to the side, so I think that's why we.
Can I ask my second question? What is the upkeep on this then, if it's spray paint?
Typically, if I'm gonna spray paint a mural like this, there shouldn't be much upkeep that's needed, other than occasional cleaning. The wall has been prepared. The paint that I use is really expensive. It's the graffiti artist's paint, and it's meant to stay. And then after that's done, the wall is prepared with an anti-graffiti coating, and that's also an extra step. So the anti-graffiti coating makes it incredibly difficult to get to put graffiti on there, somebody else's, and to get the paint off. So, but I live in Glen Ellen, where I was on the board to approve a mural in what we call a tunnel. There's a pedestrian tunnel, and that mural was delayed for about 8 months because it had a graffiti coating on the plain surface, and they had to hire somebody at a pretty high expense to take the graffiti coating off. Now they've added the mural and then added the coating back on to give it some degree of protection. So You know, murals can be, if you see in my packet too, they're temporary. Everybody would like to think they're permanent, but I painted about 150 murals with groups, mostly with literacy, Cartoonists Across America. And we painted murals in pursuit of literacy and arts advocacy. A lot of them painted in Borders bookstores. Think about that. I wish we would have gone to Barnes & Noble, but all the murals that were painted in Borders are gone. Yet, if your question is, will it be permanent, will it work, there are some things that I can do to make sure that not only in the very near future, but in going forward, that the Park District knows and has the tools to be able to touch anything up, if in fact they need to.
Well, very good. I'm very impressed. And any comments of the board?
Yes. Thanks so much for this presentation, and thank you for also walking us through your thought process and how you developed this idea. It's definitely helpful to know. I have a couple of questions. So is this the only rendering that you have done for this project? Or will the village be provided with several different options? And I'm asking this because this is quite colorful. I'm curious to know what something with a specific color theme might look like, a cool color theme, a warm color theme, something that might have lettering on it. I just, if you could speak on that.
I could speak to, well, first to the idea of lettering. That was something I talked about at the very beginning, was to try to avoid lettering, to give it any kind of a date. And by date, I just mean set in time. You can put the Village of Hanover Park, you can put joy, music, whatever, but the idea is to express everything through the images themselves without literal words being applied to it. This is just the first of many iterations that I can come up with. And I chose to use, you've got 13 shapes and 5 distinct colors in your logo. And so I chose to use a combination of the numbers of silhouettes and the colors, plus I threw in some extra ones because, I mean, they're brilliant, you know, pinks and things like that. But would I investigate a design that uses one specific colorway? I could do that. I don't right offhand think that it would convey the idea that there's multicolored, multicultural, you know, many different uses. But that said, I wouldn't be standing here if I said I wouldn't give you exactly what you want.
This is pretty cool.
Thank you.
Really cool.
Thank you.
That's helpful to know. The theme that you went with, the theme of sports and music, I'm thinking that there's so many things that represent Hanover Park and the culture of this community. I'm also thinking that murals, just in general, have so many different themes. There's the fact that this is outside, so it could be a nature theme. You know, there's all sorts of things, all sorts of ways that this could go about this. So, to clarify, does the opportunity exist for different renderings to be presented to the board with different color schemes, but also different themes as well?
I believe in my proposal, I said I would give you, give the board and give the two different types, distinctly different types of schemes.
For the
yes.
schemes?
No, designs.
Okay.
One of
so
those
themes
designs,
and
yeah.
colors. Okay. And what is the second one based off of?
Probably Trustee Bancole's input.
Uh-huh.
No, with all due respect,
answer.
I mean, well, but I mean, you need to get input from people. There was an idea I had prior that really was more of a whimsical nature, where any of the shapes looked less like, I don't want to say monsters, but little things and shapes. You can see there's something similar I did in a mural at FabTech, something I painted live at a show, and there's all these machines with different eyes and different things and different colors, and they're all working together, and that's part of my presentation. That was part of what I talked about in terms of a very unique approach. A lot of what I used to paint or have painted in the past has been very cartoonish, represented as such. That's my background, that's what I do. But I've also painted more realistic. There's a mural of Frida Kahlo that was painted in downtown Glen Ellen that was supposed to stay there for 6 months, and it's going on 3 years, and they think they really would like to keep it. But so, gosh, to answer your question, you know, working with the advice of the village staff here, and with really the interest in showing the multiculturalism that is Hanover Park is why I came to you with what you see here.
Okay.
But it's not the absolute.
Okay, thank
So-
you. And then my last, yes, go ahead.
Well, just to kind of, we did have a conversation. When we talked about this as part of the strategic plan and then putting it in the budget, it was thought that this would just be one for this year and then we could do something else. We've had conversations about trying to bring more art and culture to the community. So we did the globe in the plaza, you know, the fountain, and this was just a location that was selected because it needed to be painted, and we wanted to add some energy for the events that were happening at the pavilion, and kind of creating a space. So what we said to Jeff was we wanted to create a space and energy around the pavilion, and so that was one direction, kind of bringing the colors of the logo into it. But also it is a sports complex, and we've just spent a lot of money making it a high-end sports complex to attract tournaments, et cetera, there. So we wanted to show the sports in addition to the music from like Wednesday Night Live or some of the events that might happen at the pavilion. So giving that, this is what Jeff came up with that. So I would say, like, if you have other themes, it doesn't mean we can't do those also in other places in town. I mean, some communities have them going up in a lot of different places, so.
Okay. Thanks for the additional insight. Sorry, just one more question. I'm curious to know, so when you would be passing this facility, I'm curious to know what these images would look like from far away. I believe that's how most people will view this facility is from far away, and I guess I'm just trying to figure out, like, let's say I'm driving on Barrington Road, will I actually be able to determine what these shapes and figures are, or would I only be able to really kind of define and appreciate the artwork from up close?
I think you'd be able to do both, especially if we go with a bolder color scheme like the one you see there. You're going to see splashes of color. You're going to see things that are bright with different shapes. A monochromatic or even just an atonal color scheme that maybe goes from one color to the next, kind of like you wouldn't see as much. So, and your eyesight, I mean, I can paint and I can paint up close and I'm painting this close, but if I'm driving by on Barrington Road, I might personally not be able to see exactly what those shapes are, but that's just me.
Okay. And then the last question is this just going to be on one side, or is this the same pattern that's going to be on both sides?
Just one side, on the south-facing wall.
Okay, so it's just going to be on one side. And so what about the front and the end? Are you putting anything?
So on the end that faces the roadway, you have the baseball, the name of the building, and you have the signage from the baseball. So that's on that side. On the other side, it's just plain. That's where they did the repairs. And on the other side that faces the parking lot, I think there's some doors and stuff. And one of the things that we still need to discuss with Jeff is how to approach the roll-up window. I think the goal has been that we work with baseball to eventually be able to do some service like we do at the football building, but to do that from that window. And so we've talked about how, whether we should continue the mural onto that roll-up window, or how to address that.
Okay,
And that can definitely be done.
okay.
And I just wanted to add, the other thing that we heard was that, and you've seen it in other communities, opportunities for people to take a picture and in front of something, whether they're putting it on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And I think that this would definitely begin to say, where is that? That's in Hanover Park, and just by the images that are on there for
Okay,
people's pictures.
thank you for the additional information. And so, just to clarify, so before the spring, we, as a board, will be able to see the two different options or ideas that you have for this facility?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's the beginning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really like where we're starting.
Great.
And the
Thank you
life
for your
we're going
time.
in.
All right.
Thank you. Looking at that plain wall forever. Very nice. Okay. Juliana, monthly treasurer's report?
Yes, the monthly treasurer's report for September is in your packet. And if we have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Hearing none. Village clerk's report, Christie?
Awesome. Yeah, so I got to attend the Women at Work for the Habitat for Humanity. It was so awesome to see 40 volunteers there from different communities. They had about 40 volunteers there each day, which was really cool. And then just to see the community support, Starbucks came in and gave coffee, and Portillo's. So it was just great to see like a community come together. And then another event Mayor had me go to in his absence was the Greenbrook School Assembly for Kindness and Anti-Bullying, and it was super fun. They had us brought up on stage, did a bunch of fun and silly things. So that was a great event, so thank you for allowing me to be there. And then just to echo what Mayor said, the employee appreciation was a huge success. Thank you, directors, for putting that on and grilling, and the longest game of Jenga ever. Like, it was like 45 minutes long. It was awesome. The pie in the face, Jed, you took it very well. Way to be. And then the pumpkin decorating contest and all the dogs being there was super fun. So thank you guys for putting that together. It was great.
Rick Roberts was very kind to you.
Yes, he was, Jen. And that is all.
I'd have probably wound up like, never mind. Okay, where the heck are we?
Bernie.
Corporation Council report.
No report, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Bencoli?
Yes, thank you. Sorry. Our resident, Mr. Hank Romero, mentioned a couple of things in his remarks, and a couple of the things that he mentioned that stood out to me was his support for organized labor. I definitely agree with that statement. Organized labor is important, and it made me think of the ongoing strikes with the United Auto Workers currently. As many of you know, some of the biggest the workers that work for some of the biggest auto companies in our country have gone on strike to advocate for better contracts, better wages, things of that nature. And so I just wanted to comment on that statement that was made. I believe Mr. Romero also expressed concerns about increased railway activity, rail car activity, and from my understanding, the village is still a part of the
Coalition?
thank you, coalition with surrounding municipalities that is working to not remediate, but
It's under judicial review, the findings of the SDP.
Thank you. In regards to the Canadian Pacific merger. So that is definitely something that the village is aware of. And last but not least, Mr. Romero also touched on decreasing salt use and how it impacts our waterways. Mr. Romero is correct. MWRD, so the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, on an annual basis reminds municipalities to go easy on spreading salt in the wintertime because the salt does impact, the salt gets into our water and it's the runoff, impacts aquatic life, and so that was a great reminder. So,
Just if I may interrupt,
yes,
Hanover Park has received awards in the past for our evolution from salt, and if I'm sure TJ can give you a nice background on that. Not tonight, but
I'm sure.
it's you'll see how we spread. What do you call it? What we spread? Beet juice. So we've taken the lead on that and have received recognition and awards.
Right, we had news coverage last
Yeah.
year, right?
Yeah.
Because of our excellent salt
Yes, ma'am.
processes, right?
We have been an absolute leader in the reduction of chlorides in the environment and have worked extensively for close to a decade on it. And like the mayor had said, we're actually heavily awarded for that topic.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And I wish Mr. Romero was here so that he could hear that, but
We've been trying to
Thank you
influence the
for
tollway that
those,
goes through our town to use less salt.
yeah.
Okay.
So that was that. I'm gonna switch gears. I was able to attend our fire department's open house last weekend, and it was awesome. All of the things that were available, all the things that you could see, touch, learn about, was great. And so my proverbial hat to our chief for putting on a really great open house. While I was at the open house, I did see that there's a community leader there trying to put together a Boy Scouts troop again, because our village's troop is defunct. And I understand that Trustee Prigge is going to be helping with that initiative. So thank you, Trustee Prigge. And I know that the Hanover Park Lions Club was also at the open house, and so I wanted to thank Trustee Kunkel on his leadership on that front as well. So many of us serve in different capacities, and I'm always reminded of the great leaders that I have the honor of serving with in this capacity. So thanks for all the leadership on that front. And last but not least, I want to thank Trustee Porter for having us, in the beginning of our meeting, have a moment of silence for Wadia El Fayumi, which was the 6-year-old who was tragically murdered in Plainfield, Illinois. I believe that act was just such a despicable hate crime, but it was it also, in my opinion, was rooted in Islamophobia. And here in Hanover Park, we have so many individuals who practice all different faiths. And I also understand that we have many Muslim Americans that are our residents that attend mosques in the area, as well as send their children to Al-Huda Academy. So I just wanted to acknowledge that
Can I finish it?
yes.
Hate is not practiced in Hanover Park. We will not tolerate it in any way, shape, or form. Not sure if that's what you were getting to.
Thanks, Mayor.
But that's how I responded to the leaders at the mosque and, you know, their concerns, and rightly, you know. This is a melting pot of a nation, and we, some of us, as veterans, fought to keep it that way. We believe in one another, and together all boats rise. And so had to deal with that a little bit this week, but the assurances that went out and some of the concerns, and the police department helped, you know, with that transition when parents were a little afraid bringing their kids to school. We pitched in there a little bit, but it all came out just proper. And that's how Hanover Park is known. And so that's who I am. And so if you don't mind me putting words in your
No, I
mouth
don't mind.
to complete that sentence. But
No, I don't mind, and thank you for completing that sentence, and I echo many of the sentiments that you stated, and again, my proverbial hats off to our police department who responded accordingly and provided additional security when it was needed. So thank you.
Yep, well said. Thank you.
And I will close there. Thank you.
Trustee Prigge?
Yeah, I was also at the fire department. The weather wasn't so great, but it was a good turnout. I think everybody had a good time. The Lions had the hearing and vision truck there. And the guy said, my hearing, I can't hear female voices. I don't know why he said that, but he did.
Oh, go ahead, dig yourself a hole.
Selective here.
No, that's what, yeah, married.
Selective here.
Yeah, no, yeah, I guess the lower, or the higher frequencies, I don't know, I never noticed.
What do you say? Okay. Trustee Prigge, thank you for being out there. Anything else?
Yeah, I'll let John talk about the Lions.
And I have given you a responsibility?
Huh?
Boys and Girls Club?
He's on.
I haven't heard from him.
You get a call. Okay, thank you. Trustee Lusani? Oh, wait, he's not here. Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes, thank you. A couple of weeks ago, I got to attend a rally in Pilsen for the Work Permits for All initiative. We're headed to Washington on November 13th and 14th. The Work Permits for All Coalition is asking the current administration to please provide permits to the 500,000 workers that are working in the shadows in Illinois. They've shown that they can do it through temporary protected status, and we're asking for that. The fact is, the state of Illinois needs its workers. We've been talking to many mayors in the area who are saying our factories are leaving us because we don't have workers. We have a workforce shortage. It's going to increase tax values. It leads to less assistance from the state to many families because now they have permits to work. So November 15th, we will be marching in Washington. So I'll be sharing with the board information on that as well, just so that we're all well read on this topic. Just wanted to remind everybody, on Saturday, the 21st, we've been doing this with Ascension, and now our state Senator Castro will be holding the vaccine at the senior center at the Hanover Township, and that will be in Bartlett. So it's a great time to get your vaccine and bring your insurance card. But if you don't have your insurance card, you can still apply to get the vaccine because the COVID numbers are up, and if you end up with flu and COVID, it's not good. I also want to let you folks know that, you know, the Astor Avenue Food Pantry is serving over 1,000 families a month. And I've never seen the cupboard so bare. And so they continue to need food items also at Schaumburg Township. And we also have a micro pantry. POC has a micro pantry at the Amita building. And you can drop off at 1515 Lake Street any items that you don't want, any canned foods, etc. And finally, I got another request that we please read the items on the consent agenda before we begin the meetings, because people are watching on YouTube. That's all.
Say that again.
That we read the items that are on the consent agenda. Well, at one point, I think we did it once where we went 8A1, move to approve the purchase, 8A2, and they're requesting that you continue to do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I asked to do that, and it didn't seem to be appreciated, so I kind of like backed off.
Well, now I'm getting emails about it.
Okay.
All right, thank
We'll
you.
put that burden on Christie.
Oh, man. Sorry, Christy.
Okey doke. Thank you. Trustee Porter, you've been busy today.
Yes, been kind of a busy week. I attended a meeting of the CETA, which is the Community Economic Development Association meeting on Tuesday. That was a Zoom meeting. And what I want to bring forward to the board is that we were presented with a community needs assessment that they conducted for Cook County. And the top 10 priorities by percentage in Cook County as it relates to the needs were financial issues at 69%, food and nutrition at 39%, housing at 35%, physical and mental health at 31%, employment at 30%, transportation at 22%, other issues at 13%, child care at 10%, education at 5%. So that was the result of the needs assessment, and shows the things that are important to our residents, and as CETA continues to try to provide services to meet those needs. One of the things that they are doing is that we received some additional federal funding, and we will be expanding our weatherization services that provide much needed services as it relates to furnaces, insulation for houses, windows, doors. All of these are services that our residents can go on to the CETA website and apply for assistance. If you have a furnace that is not working or is outdated, CETA, under certain circumstances for many residents that qualify, have replaced furnaces. They've replaced AC units. They've provided storm doors, insulation, windows. All of those type of services are available at no cost to residents in Cook County. I don't think, I'm not aware of a similar service that operates in DuPage, but this is an excellent service that's available for the Cook County residents, and CETA continues to be at the forefront of providing those services.
Would you be able to share us a flyer or something that they have?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can get you, I'll get flyers out that highlight those and statistics, yeah. I can actually send you the full report on the community needs assessment. Was that a governing board meeting for the Housing Authority of Cook County today, and they're continuing to provide really excellent work, primarily in the housing voucher system, where they are providing vouchers to low-income residents to provide fair housing for those residents in communities. And that's one of their priorities, is to make sure that there is low-income housing, and the rental assistance through the voucher system is continuing to be produced by them. But one of the other things that they're doing is that there is a program that is beginning out in Homewood, Flossmoor, but will be moving to other communities, is a program for people who have been incarcerated and that are re-entering into the community to provide housing to those individuals. And it is, we're finding that a lot of individuals are circulating out of the prison system, out of incarceration, and they're returning to the community. And one of the biggest challenges that they face is that they can't get suitable housing. So the Housing Authority of Cook County is now buying properties, renovating properties, and then making them available for ex-offenders so that they can have that, because you can't get a job, you can't do a lot of things if you don't have a physical address that you can relate to and give to an employer. And so it helps actually combat recidivism when we can give them a stable housing accommodation. So that's one of the priorities and one of the projects that the Housing Authority is working on, and we're continuing to champion that. These people have served their time, and they're looking to become valuable contributing members of our society, and this is our effort to give them a head start, or give them a hand up anyway, to help them get going in those efforts. I also had a meeting with the Northwest Mayors Conference. I am the co-chairman of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee, and we had a very, very good meeting. We talked about the statewide initiation of the bicycle facilities inventory system. And this is a statewide system where communities and municipalities across the state are entering their bicycle and pedestrian information, their maps, their paths, all of that, and they're coordinating that into a database so that communities can use that for future planning, also to see what other communities are doing, maybe to see what best practices are across the state. And I know that that's been obviously a subject that's been near and dear to my heart, that I would like to see Hannibal Park take the next step forward in identifying our bike paths, improving our bike paths, and also expanding our bike and pedestrian pathways. So this information, I think, will be very, very helpful. I did receive an information on community cohorts, which list for communities that are challenged in producing some of this information. There are resources that are available that will help a community to go into the system, see what's available, see what's existing, and see how they might be able to become a part of this growing database. We should have received a survey. I don't know who they might have forwarded to, but I haven't heard from anybody on our staff that they received a survey for the bicycle community and the cohort program. If you guys haven't received it, TJ and Jonathan, let me know, and I'll make sure that they forward it to you. It's a very short survey, but it gets you into the system so that we can begin sharing what's going on in Hannibal Park with the other communities. Right now, there are about, I'd say, 15 or 20 communities that participate in this bicycle and pedestrian committee, and we're making great strides. We had a recap of the bike trail ride that we did in Hoffman Estates over by the Bell Works, new Bell Works facility, and the Hoffman Estates. There's a forest preserve there, and we did a trail ride there, and so we had a recap of that. They're planning one for next year. Mayor, you were scheduled to come, but then you had a conflict, so you weren't able to make it.
Yeah, I got stuck by something.
Yeah, I remember that. But it was a very eventful, very fun thing. I did make it. I was exhausted and ready to fall over when it was all over.
Nobody was there holding a beer for you?
No, nobody was there holding the beer, but I did complete the ride, and it was a lot of fun. Eric and
Brian and some of the other guys on the team were all very helpful to the old man on the trail ride. So I appreciated their support and their assistance. And, you know, we still have that grant going south from our train station, bicycle path. Yeah, I don't know what the status of that is.
Next year,
Any,
right? That's going in next year.
any clue, Jonathan?
Yes, I believe that is a 2024 project right now.
Oh, okay. But there's some low-hanging fruit, I think, that we can address simply by marking some trails, marking what are the advised or approved or suggested pathways through town so that an individual that's traveling, let's say from Bartlett, which has a very highly identified trail, bike trail, if they enter into Hanover Park, you know, how do they get from the trails in Bartlett over to our Mallard Lake Trail? You know, what are the best ways for them to, you know, navigate through Hanover Park to get there, or to the trails up in Streamwood at the Forest Reserve that comes in on Bodie Road up in Streamwood? How do you know, navigate those? So I think, you know, that's some low-hanging fruit that wouldn't cost much. I think I talked to Director Moore at one time, and he was saying that we have the capacity and the capabilities of producing that type of signage right in-house without a lot of cost. So those are some things I'd like to see us maybe make some advancement on for 2024 as we go into the next season. I had a resident come up to me and ask me some questions that I didn't know the answer to, and I was a little embarrassed that I didn't, but I told them that I would bring it up at this meeting and put it out to our staff and get some answers on. They wanted to know what type of revenues are we collecting from our liquor sales, tobacco, gaming, and cannabis. They were interested in what type of revenues is that generating for the village. And in terms of specific numbers, I didn't have that for them. So I'd like to, you know, ask if Remy, if you could produce some type of report that could let me know.
I have.
You can give it? Okay. Yeah, because anyway, that was their question. What were the revenues that are being generated by those different commodities? They see the video lounges, the video spots jumping up everywhere all over town. They see the, you know, there's liquor stores, you know, all over town. Everyone sells tobacco. And their interest was, well, you know, what's the benefit to the village, you know, from this? And now that, you know, cannabis dispensaries are everywhere, that, you know, that we can find, and I know that we're considering one, the potential entrepreneur that's looking at establishing a cannabis dispensary in Hanover Park has an interest in having a consumption lounge as part of their operation. And I explained to them that that currently isn't a part of our zoning ordinance. As I look at what's going on all around us, and as I continue to think about it, I thought that, you know, the question warrants a conversation, at least, because we have consumption lounges for alcohol. They're called bars, and people, you know, consume copious amounts of alcohol in the bars, and we seem to survive, you know, doing that. And so the question then becomes, if we have a consumption lounge for cannabis, is that any more detrimental to the community than the bar on almost every corner that we now have? And that's an overstatement. We don't have a bar on every corner. But the numerous bars that we have through town where people can drink and be, you know, to whatever extent that they want to. And I don't think that we have a real problem with fatalities or accidents or any of those other things, because we expect people to conduct themselves in a responsible manner when they go to a bar. They know that they, you know, if you get intoxicated, you call Uber and you go home and you leave your car. You don't drive intoxicated, because our fine police department will find you and will arrest you and prosecute you. So you know, people know that. And I think that we can have the same sensibilities, at least for the discussion. So I would like to put that on the table, and at some point, you know, let's take that up and let's discuss it. And the reason for that is because if we do have a dispensary with all of the competing dispensaries that are in town, what is going to allow our dispensary to generate the type of revenue that we want when there are bigger, finer, more elaborate, more decorative dispensaries all over the area? What can we do to be competitive? And I think that a consumption lounge, which would be the first in this area, might give us that competitive advantage. And so it's for that reason that I'd like to at least entertain the discussion, because I want our dispensary owner that is looking at, who submitted plans, am I right, Shuby? He's already submitted plans and is well into the process of I guess those things will be coming to the board shortly. But when those do come, if he is still asking for consumption, which last time I talked to him, he was questioning whether it would be allowed. I just want to throw that out there and say, let's have the conversation. Yeah, there's a lot of learning on that. Yeah. And oversight on alcohol, you know, with Bassett training and all the things we do there. I don't know if there's an equivalent for. Yeah, so let's have the discussion. I'm just throwing it out there, and I think it warrants, merits a conversation. I have no problem with that. Yeah, that concludes my report. Trustee Kunkel.
Yes, I was at the fire department open house with Alliance. We had a total of 60 people that we did hearing tests and vision tests with. We had one of our vans there. We did kids as young as 4 and kids as young as 90. So we had kids from all different ages that came in there. It was a really nice event. A lot of people that came there. The weather wasn't great, but it was a lot of fun. Let's see, what else? Halloween's coming up. Everybody have a good Halloween. Tomorrow at the Park District from 5 to 7:30, there's trunk or treat. It's at 1919 Walnut. So they're having trunk or treat. I'll be there. You won't know me, but I'll be there. I'll be in a uniform. And so will Bob.
You'll put on the trunk?
Pardon? No. That's all I have.
Thank you, John. And I do appreciate those who came and worked at the fire department. What an outstanding resource our fire department is for all the families that came. I know, unfortunately, it was raining out and a lot of the outside activities was curtailed. I thought it was nice that you brought the vision and hearing van inside. I think that helped bring a lot of people to be a part of that. So, an outstanding event on the fire department. Please pass that along to all those who volunteered and participated. Motion to go to executive session.
So,
Section 2C2, collective bargaining, and B, Section 2C21, review of executive session minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion is second.
And we will not be returning.
We will not be returning. Thank you very much. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Priegi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
And Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.